The life of Solomon is primarily described in 2 Samuel, 1 Kings, and 2 Chronicles. His two names mean peaceful and friend of God, both considered predictive of the character of his reign. The conventional dates of Solomon's reign are derived from biblical chronology and are set from about 970 to 931 BCE. Regarding the Davidic dynasty, to which King Solomon belongs, its chronology can be checked against datable Babylonian and Assyrian records at a few points, and these correspondences have allowed archaeologists to date its kings in a modern framework. According to the most widely used chronology, based on that by the Old Testament professor Edwin R. Thiele, the death of Solomon and the division of his kingdom would have occurred in the fall of 931 BCE. Childhood. Solomon was born in Jerusalem, the second-born child of David and his wife Bathsheba, widow of Uriah the Hittite. The first child, unnamed in that account, a son conceived adulterously during Uriah's lifetime, had died 7 days after birth. It is suggested in Scripture that this was a judgment from God. Solomon had 3 named full brothers born to Bathsheba, Nathan, Shammua, and Shobab, besides 6 known older half-brothers born of as many mothers. The biblical narrative shows that Solomon served as a peace offering between God and David due to his adulterous relationship with Bathsheba. In an effort to hide this sin, for example, he sent the woman's husband to battle in the subsequently realized hope that he would be killed there. After he died, David was finally able to marry his wife. As punishment, the first child, who was conceived during the adulterous relationship, died. Solomon was born after David was forgiven. It is this reason why his name, which means peace, was chosen. Some historians cited that Nathan the prophet brought up Solomon as his father was busy governing the realm. This could also be attributed to the notion that the prophet held great influence over David because he knew of his adultery, which was considered a grievous offense under the Mosaic law. Succession and administration. According to the first book of Kings, when David was old, he could not get warm. So they sought a beautiful young woman throughout all the territory of Israel and found Abishag the Shunammite and brought her to the king. The young woman was very beautiful, and she was of service to the king and attended to him, but the king knew her not. While David was in this state, court factions were maneuvering for power. David's heir apparent, Adonijah, acted to have himself declared king, but was outmaneuvered by Bathsheba and the prophet Nathan, who convinced David to proclaim Solomon king according to his earlier promise, not recorded elsewhere in the biblical narrative, despite Solomon's being younger than his brothers. Solomon, as instructed by David, began his reign with an extensive purge, including his father's chief general, Joab, among others, and further consolidated his position by appointing friends throughout the administration, including in religious positions as well as in civic and military posts. It is said that Solomon ascended to the throne when he was only about 15. Solomon greatly expanded his military strength, especially the cavalry and chariot arms. He founded numerous colonies, some of which doubled as trading posts and military outposts. Trade relationships were a focus of his administration. In particular, he continued his father's very profitable relationship with the Phoenician king Hiram I of Tyre, see wealth below. They sent out joint expeditions to the lands of Tarshish and Ophir to engage in the trade of luxury products, importing gold, silver, sandalwood, pearls, ivory, apes, and peacocks. Solomon is considered the most wealthy of the Israelite kings named in the Bible. Wisdom. Solomon was the biblical king most famous for his wisdom. In 1 Kings he sacrificed to God, and God later appeared to him in a dream, asking what Solomon wanted from God. Solomon asked for wisdom in order to better rule and guide his people. Pleased, God personally answered Solomon's prayer, promising him great wisdom because he did not ask for self-serving rewards like long life or the death of his enemies. Perhaps the best-known story of his wisdom is the judgment of Solomon. Two women each lay claim to being the mother of the same child. Solomon easily resolved the dispute by commanding the child to be cut in half and shared between the two. One woman promptly renounced her claim, proving that she would rather give the child up than see it killed. Solomon declared the woman who showed compassion to be the true mother, entitled to the whole child. Solomon has traditionally been considered the author of several biblical books, including Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and the Song of Songs, as well as later apocryphal writings such as the Wisdom of Solomon. Wealth. According to the Hebrew Bible, the ancient kingdom of Israel gained its highest splendor and wealth during Solomon's reign of 40 years. In a single year, according to 1 Kings 10 verse 14, Solomon collected tribute amounting to 666 talents, 18,125 kilograms, of gold. Solomon is described as surrounding himself with all the luxuries and the grandeur of an Eastern monarch, and his government prospered. He entered into an alliance with Hiram, king of Tyre, who in many ways greatly assisted him in his numerous undertakings. Construction projects. 2 years before his death, David was engaged in collecting materials for building a temple in Jerusalem as a permanent home for Yahweh and the Ark of the Covenant. Solomon is described as undertaking the construction of the temple with the help of an architect, also named Hiram, and other materials sent from King Hiram of Tyre. After the completion of the temple, Solomon is described in the biblical narrative as erecting many other buildings of importance in Jerusalem. For 13 years, he was engaged in the building of a royal palace on Ophel, a hilly promontory in central Jerusalem. This complex included buildings referred to as the House or Hall of the Forest of Lebanon, the Hall or Porch of Pillars, the Hall of the Throne or the Hall of Justice, as well as his own residence and a residence for his wife, Pharaoh's daughter. Solomon's throne is said to have been spectacularly opulent and possessed moving parts, making it one of the earliest mechanical devices in history. Solomon also constructed great water works for the city, and the Millo, Septuagint, Acra, for the defense of the city. However, excavations of Jerusalem have discovered no monumental architecture from the era, and no remains of either the temple or Solomon's palace have been found. Solomon is also described as rebuilding cities elsewhere in Israel, creating the port of Ezion-Geber, and constructing Palmyra in the wilderness as a commercial depot and military outpost. Although the location of the port of Ezion-Geber is known, no remains have ever been found. More archaeological success has been achieved with the major cities Solomon is said to have strengthened or rebuilt, for example, Hazor, Megiddo, and Gezer. These all have substantial ancient remains, including impressive six-chambered gates and ashlar palaces. However, it is no longer the scholarly consensus that these structures date to the time, according to the Bible, when Solomon ruled. According to the Bible, during Solomon's reign, Israel enjoyed great commercial prosperity, with extensive traffic being carried on by land with Tyre, Egypt, and Arabia, and by sea with Tarshish, Ophir, and South India.